Hello, everybody. We are back again. Hi, I'm your host, Katie Scott, and welcome to the Power of Choice on YouTube. On this channel, we explore how the choices we make shape every part of our lives, from our relationships to our careers and everything in between. Again, every decision holds a potential to have a transformation in our world, and we're here to talk about that today. So please don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss an episode. Okay, let's dive in. Today we're going to be talking about timing, specifically how timing really is everything. And timing is not just a theme, but a reality. It's important for us to hold fast to our faith and what we are believing in and believing for in our lives. I understand that can be difficult in many situations in our life, especially when the weight begins to wear on your soul, what feel like it's just been too long. And in thinking about this, timing is everything. It's like I got a God wink over the last 2 weeks. That phrase kept coming up over and over again. Timing, timing, timing is everything. And it took me back. It took me back to thinking about my eldest son and remembering that timing. Many years ago, being accused of something he didn't do. With overwhelming proof of his innocence, being discounted by those who had a duty to do a job that was not only just but righteous. And they missed the mark. They failed miserably. They failed him. And all I could do with that was say, but God. Because that's where I end up going anytime there's an injustice or something that's out of my control. I remember who God is and I just go, but God. He is my answer to injustice. He's bigger than any issue I or you may have. I want to remind all of you listening today that all is not lost when bad things happen that are out of our control. God is greater. Talking about that incident as if it wasn't bad enough. Approximately 4 months after that tragedy in my eldest son's life, I was told that my youngest son left this life. He made his transition. I do not know for sure what happened. What I do know is that he's gone, but he's certainly not forgotten. I'm so grateful that he phoned me and my husband a few days before we got word of his passing. And what he said to me was, Mom, I had a few rough days, but I'm doing better now. Just called to tell you and Dad I love you. That was the last conversation I would have with my son in this life. I know that I'll see him again over on the other side. This was a horrendous time for me and my family. You know, we talked about a couple of weeks ago flying above the storm and how when a storm is getting ready to hit your life, you have some indication that something is coming. And I had felt for weeks that something was about to happen in my world. Something that wasn't going to be good at all. Well, you have that feeling in the pit of your stomach, that feeling of dread. Like I said, it was a horrendous time. During that time in my life, I had just completed my book. I had self-published my biography. I told my life story thus far at that time, and literally had to contact the publishing company and tell them to stop the presses so that I could honor my baby boy in my book. Yes, he was a full-grown man, but my baby nonetheless. At any rate, the publishing company accommodated my request, And in the midst of telling my life story, which is entitled Nothing Hidden, Nothing Broken, and published by Dorrance Publishing, I was now adding another painful chapter. And I think about the timing of that. I had just enough time to have the forethought to add another chapter to honor my son's life. You know, I wish I had paid attention to the time on the clock one night as I woke up. I literally felt like every organ in my body was shutting down. I sat on the side of the bed in the dark and I spoke to God. Surprisingly, I had no fear. I said to God, so this is what death feels like. I was ready in that moment to leave this world. But no sooner than I had spoken those words, all of that sensation left my body, that sensation of feeling like all of my vital organs were shutting down. I didn't know at the time it wasn't my body shutting down. It was my son's body shutting down. He was leaving this world. What is ironic is when I gave birth to him, I had a C-section. Doctors gave me a spinal tap. They didn't put me to sleep for whatever reason, but they put a shield up so that I couldn't see him. They asked me if I wanted to see, and I said no. However, I felt when they pulled my son from my body, my baby boy from my body. I only share this to say I felt my son come into this world, and I felt him leave this world. Timing really is everything, isn't it? Even when we are unaware of what is happening and why, it's still about timing. So I dedicated another chapter in my book to this son, my youngest son, my baby boy. And I added in that chapter a note to him entitled, My Sweet Boy. I'm so thankful. I'm so grateful I got to do that. I got to honor him in that way. And I had that same passage read at his memorial service. It was a very difficult time. What is almost unbelievable to me, though, is while I'm sitting here typing and, looking over what I want to talk about in this video, which is April 23rd at the time of recording, I get a phone call from my husband letting me know that his nephew made his transition on yesterday, which would have been April 22nd. This brought up so much for me, as I know what this mom, my sister-in-law, is feeling right now. And all I can say is, Lord, give her strength, because she has some days ahead of her. When we are walking in step with the Spirit, as in Acts 16, 6-10, we can feel like doors closing unexpectedly, confusion, and then suddenly we get clarity. Now, I won't tell you I got clarity about my son leaving this world. I did not. But I can tell you this, though. I know he's not suffering anymore. I at that moment, in all my pain and hurt, I knew he wasn't suffering anymore, because he really had suffered with depression and anxiety. I mean, really suffered with it. So sometimes it can also look like we're being prevented from going one way only to be directed towards something even more impactful. And I don't want to keep this about grief and loss, because that can be a whole podcast in and of itself, right? That can be a whole video all by itself, grief and loss. There's a lot with that, and there's a lot of that going on in the world today. But it could be about anything. It could be about whatever you're creating in your life, whether it's your career, if you're starting a new company, it's whatever you're doing. It can be about that, where you feel like you're being prevented from going one way only to be directed towards something even more impactful if you want to look on the bright side. Remember American Riviera Orchard, for example. Megan Sussex has come up with that name for her new foundation, but for her lifestyle brand. And there was so much negativity around the name. I'm sure that people on the outside thought people were even trying to grab the name from under her and all of that. But she had already secured another name, As Ever. And so she took her time, and nobody knew she had a new name for her lifestyle brand, which ended up being successful, very successful. So if you look at it, that original launch that she had talked about, American Riviera Orchard, it was delayed. But now we look and see that it was delayed, but not denied, because it ended up being so much better than anything she ever thought it could have been. And I'm just saying, God is not a respecter of person. What he did for her, he'll do for you. A biblical truth is timing is sometimes revealed through closed doors. That American Riviera Orchard door for her was closed. But then the As Ever door was open. And she's on a heck of a ride right now. And that's okay, because the timing was right for her to do it another way. So a delay is really not a denial. In Jesus' life and ministry, everything was on a divine clock. I remember when Jesus had to remind someone when they were talking to him about something, and he said, look, my hour has not yet come. Jesus always waited until the exact right moment to act, to reveal, to heal, and yes, to lay down his life for you and for me. The biblical truth in this is this exactly. At just the right time, Christ laid down his life for the ungodly, as in Romans 5 and 6. Timing truly is everything. I just want to leave you with this. If there is something in your life, doesn't have to be sickness, doesn't have to be loss or grief, and I hope it isn't loss or grief, but whatever you are believing for, waiting on, and it seems like it's too long, remember, a delay is not a denial. Favor can come suddenly. We just need to realize that sometimes a delay is because something greater than what we've anticipated, what we've been waiting for, will be revealed. Everything is on a divine clock, whether we want to accept that or not. The very essence of biblical timing is this. It requires trust, not just strategy. It teaches us that delay is not a denial. So I'm just reminding you to don't stop trusting and believing that your time is coming. You just have to not give up. And remember, timing is everything. So, a delay is not a denial. Don't feel sad. Don't feel bad. Just know your time is coming. That's all I have for today. Thanks for watching The Power of Choice. If you enjoyed today's video, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and share this with someone who could use a little bit of inspiration, someone who might need to look at things a little bit differently because they've been waiting and waiting for something to happen, to encourage them that it's still coming. It's just going to probably be bigger and better than what you're expecting it to be. Remember, your support means so much. And I'm so happy that you decided to watch today. And I'll see you in the next video. Remember, every choice you make has the power to change everything in your life. See you next time.